Everything in your life starts with one question. Are you living on purpose or are you drifting? Every day you wake up, you make choices, small, silent choices that define your future. This audiobook will teach you how to stop wasting time on distractions, align every action with your deepest why, and make consistent progress that compounds into unstoppable results. By the end of this, you won't just know your purpose, you'll live it every single day. Listen closely. Your life depends on it. Chapter 1. Action beats validation every time. You are wasting your life. Yes, you. You spend hours scrolling, comparing, worrying about what others think. You adjust your actions to please them. You wait for approval before moving forward. Stop. Right now. This chapter is about one thing. Action. Not approval. Not validation. Not applause. Action. You have a choice. You can keep proving or you can start doing. That's the key. Most people will choose to prove. Most people will choose to argue, to explain, to justify. They post, they brag, they argue. And meanwhile, life passes by. Meanwhile, opportunities wait for no one. Meanwhile, the people who act quietly, persistently, relentlessly, they win. Look at Elon Musk. Did he wait for everyone to believe in him before starting Tesla? No. Did he wait for approval before launching SpaceX? No. The world doubted him. Critics laughed. Experts said he would fail. And yet he acted. Every day. Small steps. Big vision. Silent progress compounding into mastery. That is your blueprint. Not approval. Action. Let me break this down for you. Proving is a trap. When you prove, you're giving your power away. You are letting others define your worth. You are letting opinions dictate your choices. And here is the harsh truth. People are busy with their own lives. They are not waiting to approve you. They are not waiting to praise you. They are waiting for you to do your work. Action is freedom. Action is control. Action builds momentum. Action teaches you faster than any approval ever will. You learn by doing. You grow by doing. You evolve by doing. And here is a secret most people never realize. Nobody notices most of your actions anyway. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You need your own commitment, your own discipline, your own drive. Here is a practical step you can take today. Make a list of one thing you have been avoiding because of fear of judgment. One thing you're delaying because you want approval. Write it down. Now do it. Do it quietly. Do it confidently. Do it without asking anyone for permission. That is the beginning of mastery. Repetition is your ally here. Repeat after me. I do not need their approval. I act. I commit. I execute. Say it daily. Say it every morning before your phone. Say it before your email. Say it before every decision. The more you repeat it, the more it becomes a habit. And habits compound. That is the secret. That is the key. Now, notice how this works in real life. A student starts writing instead of waiting for likes. An entrepreneur launches a project instead of asking for validation. An athlete trains in silence while others talk. They don't wait. They start. They move. They master. Meanwhile, the people who are proving, posting, explaining, debating, they stay stuck. No results. No growth. No momentum. Let's talk about excuses. You probably have some ready. I need to wait until I'm ready. I want to be perfect first. I need their opinion. Stop it. Those are just chains. You're chaining yourself to their approval. You're chaining yourself to validation. You're chaining yourself to delay. You don't need their permission. You have a choice. Choose action. That's the key. Every day you delay, the gap widens. The gap between where you are and where you could be. The gap between you and the person who silently works. You will never close that gap by proving. You close it by doing. Daily. Relentlessly. Without fanfare. Without validation. Without excuses. Now let's get specific. How do you start doing instead of proving? 3 steps. Identify the approval trap. Look at your day. Where are you seeking validation? Social media? Emails? Conversations? Write it down. Awareness is the first step. Take immediate action. Pick one task, one project, one conversation you have been delaying because of fear of judgment. Start it today. Small, consistent action beats perfect action delayed. Track your silent progress. Keep a journal. Mark every day you acted despite fear. Review it weekly. Celebrate the progress quietly. Not online, not for likes. For you, for mastery. Here's another truth. Proving is exhausting. Doing is empowering. Proving is endless. Doing has a finish line. Proving drains your energy. Doing builds your energy. When you focus on action, your mind clears. When you focus on approval, your mind fogs. You have a choice. That's the key. Think about the people you admire. The ones you call successful. Do they talk more than they do? Or do they act more than they talk? Every one of them acts. Every one of them starts before anyone approves. Every one of them masters silently, compounding small victories into unstoppable momentum. That can be you, but only if you stop proving, only if you start doing. And here is the final, undeniable fact. The world does not reward intention. The world does not reward explanation. The world rewards results. Results come from action. Action comes from discipline. Discipline comes from committing to yourself, not to others, not to applause, to you. You have a choice. That's the key. Choose action. Start doing. Stop proving. You mastered your hesitation. You mastered your fear of judgment. You learned the first principle of living purposefully. Action over approval. Silent progress over loud validation. Momentum over procrastination. That is your foundation. And this is just the beginning. You mastered your fear. Now, let's talk about the true currency of your life. Chapter 2, the silent cost of seeking validation. You are spending your life paying a price you don't even notice. Every like you chase, every comment you crave, every approval you seek, it costs you. Time, energy, focus. Every moment you spend worrying about what others think is a moment stolen from your purpose. You have a choice. That's the key. You can keep paying this silent cost, or you can stop. You can reclaim your time. You can reclaim your power. You can reclaim your life. Let me be blunt. Seeking validation is a trap. It is a trap disguised as connection. A trap disguised as encouragement. A trap disguised as support. In reality, it is a drain. When you chase applause, you sacrifice results. When you seek approval, you trade progress for comfort. That is the cost. That is the silent cost. And most people never realize it. They keep proving. They keep explaining. They keep asking. And meanwhile, their dreams wait. Their purpose waits. Their life waits. You have a choice. Repeat it. You have a choice. You can keep asking, keep explaining, keep proving. Or you can act. You can focus. You can do the work. That is the difference between those who succeed quietly and those who talk endlessly. The successful do not wait for applause. They act first. They act consistently. They act without permission. And that is what compounds into mastery. Think about it. Every hour you spend scrolling, comparing, worrying about judgment is an hour stolen from your growth, from your purpose, from your discipline. Do the math. 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Hours turn into days. Days turn into months. Weeks turn into years. And what do you have to show for it? Validation costs. Purpose pays. Say it with me. Validation costs. Purpose pays. Here's the exercise. Grab a piece of paper or your notes app. Write down every place you are seeking validation. Social media, meetings, conversations, family approval, professional recognition. List it all. Be honest. Be ruthless. Now, next to each item, Write down the real cost: time lost, energy wasted, focus diverted. See it clearly. That is your life leaking away. That is the silent cost. And here is the solution. Cut it. Cut the noise. Cut the distractions. Cut the need for validation. Cut it ruthlessly. You don't need permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need applause. The only approval that matters is your own. The only approval that fuels real progress is the approval you give yourself for doing the work, for showing up, for taking action, for mastering yourself quietly, daily, relentlessly. That is the currency of purpose. That is what pays dividends. Let's make it practical. Here's how you stop paying this silent cost. Audit your attention. Track every moment you seek validation. What do you look for approval? What do you say, post, or do to get recognition? Write it down. Awareness is the first step. Cut ruthlessly. Remove or reduce the sources of validation seeking. Turn off notifications. Skip the argument. Say no to the applause. Focus on your action instead. Validation costs. Purpose pays. Repeat it daily. Redirect your energy. Take the time, attention, and mental space you reclaimed and invest it into your work, your growth, your silent progress. Start with small, consistent actions. Build momentum. Build mastery. Here's the truth most people ignore. Approval is fleeting. Praise fades. Comments disappear. Likes vanish. But skill, mastery, discipline, they stay. They compound. They build silently. They become your identity. They become your life. That is why purpose always wins over validation. That is why disciplined action always beats applause. Validation costs. Purpose pays. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Think of the people you admire most. The innovators. The leaders. The athletes. Do they check for approval before acting? No. Do they wait for applause before committing? No. They work in silence. They act in quiet. They focus relentlessly. And their results speak for themselves. That is the lesson. That is the truth. And that can be you, but only if you stop paying the silent cost. Only if you reclaim your attention. Only if you prioritize purpose over applause. Here is the mental trick. Every time you feel the urge to seek validation, pause. Ask yourself, will this action move me closer to my purpose, or is it for approval? If it's for approval, stop. If it's for purpose, act. That is how you train your mind. That is how you train your life. That is how you reclaim the time and energy stolen by validation. Now, repetition, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can keep paying this cost, or you can stop. You can focus on purpose. You can focus on action. You can focus on mastery. Validation costs. Purpose pays. Repeat it. Let it sink in. Let it guide your decisions. Let it guide your day. You are learning a principle that most people never grasp. Distraction and validation are silent thieves. They rob your time, your energy, your life. You cannot ignore them. You must confront them. You must act. You must cut them out. And when you do, you reclaim your life. You reclaim your power. You reclaim your purpose. You identified the trap. You cut the noise. You redirected your energy. You are beginning to act without approval. You are beginning to invest in yourself. That is the transformation. That is the foundation of living purposefully. You master the cost of validation. Now let's talk about the next level, your priorities and what you will never compromise. Chapter 3. Define your non-negotiables. Your life is a series of choices. Every day, every hour, every minute, you make decisions. Some are small, some are massive. And here is the truth. If you don't define what is non-negotiable, you will waste your energy, your focus, your potential. You have a choice. That's the key. You can drift, reacting to every distraction, every opinion, every whim. Or you could define your line in the sand. You can know exactly what matters and refuse to compromise. That is power. That is clarity. That is focus. Non-negotiables are the rules that guide your life. They are the values you refuse to break. They are the actions you will not trade, no matter the pressure, no matter the temptation. Without them, your energy leaks. Your attention fractures. Your purpose dilutes. With them, your focus becomes unstoppable. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need the approval of the crowd. You only need clarity. You only need discipline. You only need commitment to yourself. Think about Navy SEAL training. Why is it so effective? Because every trainee knows what cannot be compromised. Discipline is not negotiable. Fitness is not negotiable. Teamwork is not negotiable. Every decision, every action, every ounce of effort is guided by these principles. There is no debate. There is no hesitation. There is only commitment. That is why they succeed. That is why they endure. That is why they master themselves. That can be you, but only if you define your non-negotiables. Here's your exercise. Take a pen and paper, or open your notes app. Write down your top 3 values. Not 10, not 5, 3. Make them clear. Make them uncompromising. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's integrity. Maybe it's discipline. Whatever it is, it must guide your actions. Next, list every activity, habit, or thought that conflicts with these values. Be honest. Be ruthless. And now, here is the crucial step. Eliminate them. Cut them. Reduce them. Stop giving energy to what undermines your non-negotiables. That is how you reclaim focus. That is how you reclaim control. That is how you begin living purposefully. Repetition is critical here. Say it aloud. I have non-negotiables. I will not compromise them. I will act in alignment with my values. I choose focus over distraction. I choose discipline over convenience. Repeat it daily. Repeat it every time you face a choice. Repeat it every time you feel the temptation to stray. Habits are built through repetition, and clarity compounds through consistency. That is the secret. That is the principle. That is the key. Now, let's break this down into action steps. First, clarity of priorities. Without clarity, energy leaks. Without clarity, decisions are weak. With clarity, energy sharpens. With clarity, choices become simple. Ask yourself every morning, what is non-negotiable today? What must I protect at all costs? Write it down. Say it aloud. Anchor yourself. That is focus. That is discipline. Second, eliminate conflict. Every action that violates your non-negotiables is stealing from your potential. It doesn't matter if it's comfortable, easy, or popular. If it conflicts with your values, it goes. Remove distractions. Remove weak habits. Remove unnecessary obligations. That is how you create mental space for what truly matters. That is how you master your time. That is how you live purposefully. Third, enforce your boundaries. Non-negotiables are useless if you do not enforce them. Say no. Say no to people who try to pull you away. Say no to habits that drain you. Say no to tasks that dilute your energy. Every time you say no to the wrong thing, you say yes to yourself. That is discipline. That is focus. That is purpose. Repeat. I enforce my non-negotiables. I protect my energy. I commit to myself. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine your non-negotiable is physical fitness. You wake up early to train, but your friends invite you to sleep in and scroll social media. If you compromise, you reinforce weakness. If you enforce your non-negotiable, you strengthen discipline. If you enforce your non-negotiable every day, week after week, month after month, you will see compounding results that far surpass the effort of temporary pleasure. That is the power of non-negotiables. That is the principle. That is the key. Here is another truth. Life will test your non-negotiables constantly. You will be tempted. You will be distracted. You will be pulled in 100 directions. And here is the difference between those who succeed and those who drift. The committed enforce their principles. The distracted compromise for comfort. The masters stay on course. The average chase every shiny object. You have a choice. That is the key. Choose discipline. Choose clarity. Choose your non-negotiables. Repetition anchors mastery. Say it again. I define my non-negotiables. I protect my priorities. I choose focus over distraction. I choose discipline over convenience. Say it every morning. Say it before decisions. Say it whenever you feel tempted. Let it guide your actions. Let it define your day. Let it define your life. You now know the foundation of unstoppable focus. You have identified your core values. You have committed to enforcing them. You have cut distractions that conflict with your purpose. That is power. That is clarity. That is living intentionally. And this principle is not just for today. It is for every decision you make, every hour you spend, every action you take. You defined your non-negotiables. You reclaimed your focus. You strengthened your discipline. That is mastery in action. Now we move to the next level of purpose. How to create habits and systems that outlast fleeting motivation. Chapter 4. Build habits that outlast motivation. Motivation is a spark. Habits are the fire. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the right feeling. They wait for inspiration. And they fail. That's the truth. Motivation comes and goes. It is unreliable. It is fleeting. You cannot depend on it. You cannot build a life on a feeling. You have a choice. That's the key. You can wait for motivation and drift, or you can build systems and habits that move you forward regardless of how you feel. Habits are permanent. Systems are unshakable. They work even when you don't feel like it. They work even when life is hard. They work even when the world doubts you. That is power. That is mastery. That is what separates those who succeed quietly from those who chase temporary pleasure and fail. You have a choice. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Repeat it. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Let's be clear. Most people fail because they rely on feelings. They rely on motivation. They rely on mood. And when motivation disappears, they quit. They stop. They drift. You will not drift. You will act. You will build. You will implement systems that last. That is your advantage. That is your edge. That is the key to purpose-driven living. Here's how you start. One habit at a time. Small, consistent, deliberate. Step 1. Identify an unproductive habit. Maybe it's scrolling social media. Maybe it's checking email constantly. Maybe it's procrastination. Whatever it is, be honest. Write it down. That is your target. That is the habit you will replace. That is the starting point. Step 2. Replace it with a purposeful habit. Something that moves you closer to your goals. If you scroll social media for an hour every morning, replace it with journaling, reading, or exercise. If you procrastinate, replace it with a 15-minute focused action block. Small, consistent, deliberate. One habit at a time. That is how mastery is built. Step 3. Track your progress. Keep a simple log. Mark each day you successfully implement the new habit. Review it weekly. Celebrate silently. Growth compounds over time. Momentum builds. Systems reinforce action. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Here's the truth. You will fail. You will slip. You will revert. And that is normal. Mastery is not perfection. Mastery is persistence. When you fail, notice it, correct it, and continue. Don't judge yourself. Don't blame others. Don't seek permission. You act. You correct. You persist. That is how habits stick. That is how systems win. That is how purpose drives life forward. Let's consider real-world examples. Olympic athletes do not rely on motivation. They train every day, rain or shine, tired or energized. Entrepreneurs do not rely on inspiration. They show up daily, implement systems, and execute relentlessly. Writers do not wait to feel inspired. They sit, they write, they build a system of words and discipline. And that is why they achieve results. That is why they succeed. That is why they live purposefully. Now, repetition anchors this principle. Say it aloud. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Motivation is temporary. Habit is permanent. Action compounds. Focus multiplies. I will build systems that last. Repeat it every morning. Repeat it before action. Repeat it every time you feel the urge to quit. That is how you train your mind. That is how you build momentum. That is how you create a life that moves forward even when you do not feel like it. Here's a practical mental trick. When motivation fades, and it will, visualize the system you're building. Visualize the habit. See yourself acting despite resistance. Feel the momentum carrying you forward. This is not wishful thinking. This is conditioning your mind. This is building mental resilience. This is purpose in action. And remember, you have a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment. You can wait for motivation, or you can act. You can build a system. You can implement a habit. You can persist. That is power. That is freedom. That is mastery. That is living purposefully. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Now, a final thought. Small habits lead to big results. One purposeful action today leads to a chain reaction tomorrow. Systems compound. Discipline grows. Results appear silently. And then suddenly, they are undeniable. That is the magic. That is the principle. That is the strategy of those who act while others wait for inspiration. You have identified fleeting motivation. You have learned the power of systems. You have begun building habits that last. You are no longer a slave to feelings. You are now a master of deliberate action. That is transformation. That is purpose in motion. You mastered the fleeting nature of motivation. Now it's time to leverage the true currency of life: patience, persistence, and delayed gratification. Chapter 5. Master the art of delayed gratification. You want it all now. You want results today. You want pleasure immediately. And that's the problem. Immediate gratification is the enemy of success. Every distraction, every temptation, every quick fix steals from your future. Every moment you give into impulse, you compound weakness. You have a choice. That's the key. You can chase temporary pleasure, or you can invest in long-term results. You can delay. You can endure. You can master yourself. That is power. That is freedom. That is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is simple to understand, but hard to practice. The world is designed to make you weak. Ads, notifications, snacks, entertainment, they all scream, take now. Enjoy now. You deserve it now. And most people obey. They surrender. They trade their future for comfort. They trade discipline for instant pleasure. And then they wonder why they are stuck. They wonder why success feels out of reach. The secret is this: resist the urge today, and your future self will thank you. That is how wealth, mastery, and achievement are built. That is the principle. That is the key. Look at Warren Buffett. He did not become a billionaire by indulging in impulses. He did not chase trends. He did not spend recklessly. He invested patiently, deliberately, consistently over decades. Every decision was calculated. Every temptation to spend or react was ignored. He understood the power of delayed gratification. And that is why his wealth compounded silently, year after year, into extraordinary results. That is the lesson. That is the truth. That is your blueprint. Here's how to train yourself to delay gratification. Step 1. Visualize the reward. Every time you feel a temptation, see the future result of resisting it. If you're tempted to check your phone instead of working, imagine the skills, the progress, the opportunities you gain by staying focused. If you're tempted to spend money frivolously, visualize the financial freedom that comes from saving and investing. Mental imagery is powerful. It rewires your brain to prioritize long-term gain over short-term comfort. Repeat, visualize the reward. Delay the impulse. Build the future. Step 2. Create micro-delays. Don't expect perfection immediately. Start small. When you crave instant pleasure, force a 5-minute pause. Walk away. Breathe. Redirect your energy. Extend it to 10 minutes. Extend it to an hour. Extend it to a day. Each delay strengthens your discipline. Each delay compounds into self-control. Self-control is the foundation of mastery. You have a choice. That's the key. Choose patience. Choose discipline. Choose long-term success. Step 3. Anchor your identity to delayed gratification. Say aloud, I am someone who invests in my future. I am someone who acts in alignment with my purpose. I am someone who chooses discipline over desire. Repeat it every morning. Repeat it when temptation arises. Repeat it when excuses whisper in your ear. You're not weak. You're not passive. You are deliberate. You are a master of your impulses. That is the power of identity. That is the force of delayed gratification. Now, let's reinforce with examples. A student studying instead of scrolling social media gains knowledge that pays dividends for life. An entrepreneur saving capital instead of spending it builds the resources to launch a business that lasts decades. An athlete training in silence, resisting shortcuts, develops strength, endurance, and skill that others can only dream of. Every act of delayed gratification compounds silently, invisibly, until it becomes unstoppable momentum. That is the principle. That is the truth. That is your strategy. Repetition is essential. Say it again. Every immediate pleasure I resist compounds into my future success. Every temptation I delay strengthens my discipline. Every choice I make today builds the life I deserve tomorrow. Let these words anchor your decisions. Let them guide your actions. Let them protect your time, your focus, your energy. That is how you master life. That is how you live purposefully. That is how you rise above those who chase the instant. Here's a practical mental trigger. Whenever you feel an impulse, pause. Ask yourself, will this bring me closer to my long-term goal, or is it temporary pleasure? If it's temporary, delay. If it's aligned, act decisively. This simple habit rewires your brain. It builds patience. It strengthens focus. It compounds results. And over months, years, decades, the effect is exponential. That is the secret of the wealthy, the disciplined, the high achievers. That is the blueprint you must follow. Remember, life rewards those who wait. Life rewards those who endure. Life rewards those who invest in the future. Pleasure fades. Results last. Comfort is temporary. Growth is permanent. Weakness is easy. Discipline is hard, but discipline pays. That is the law. That is the principle. That is the rule of success. Repeat it aloud. Discipline beats desire. Systems beat excuses. Delayed gratification compounds power. You now understand the value of patience. You now understand how temporary sacrifices lead to permanent gains. You can visualize your rewards. You can pause impulses. You can strengthen identity and discipline. That is mastery. That is power. That is living purposefully. You mastered immediate temptation. You began building the discipline to invest in your future. Now it's time to embrace the next step. Doing the work in silence, away from applause, where real progress is made. Chapter 6. Embrace the grind in silence. Most people want recognition. Most people want applause. Most people want instant validation. And that is why they fail. True growth does not happen in the spotlight. True growth happens in silence. Away from the noise. Away from the opinions. Away from the praise. You have a choice. That's the key. You can chase applause, or you can embrace the grind in silence. You can work quietly. You can act consistently. You can build momentum that no one sees, yet silent work is the foundation of mastery. It is the hidden effort that compounds into results. The athlete training before sunrise. The entrepreneur perfecting systems in the back office. The writer rewriting pages while the world sleeps. They don't seek validation. They seek progress. They understand a simple truth. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Repeat it. Say it daily. Let it anchor your decisions. Let it define your actions. Let it guide your discipline. Here's the reality. Applause is fleeting. Recognition fades. Praise is temporary. But skill, mastery, and results endure. They compound silently. They build quietly. They explode visibly only after relentless effort has been invested. That is why most people never achieve greatness. They work for attention. They work for compliments. They work for recognition. And when it doesn't come, they quit. They drift. They fade. You have a choice. Discipline over validation. Consistency over applause. That is the key. Let's break it down. Step 1. Schedule your silent work. Identify the tasks that matter most to your growth. Block time every day. Protect it. Guard it. Defend it. Do not allow distractions. Do not allow interruptions. Do not allow validation seeking. Every hour you dedicate to silent work builds compounding results. Every hour you sacrifice to noise drains potential. You have a choice. That's the key. Step 2. Focus on improvement, not recognition. Every day, aim to be better than yesterday. Review your work. Adjust. Refine. Experiment. Fail in private. Learn in private. Repeat daily. The world does not need to witness your struggle. The world does not need to applaud your process. Your discipline is enough. Your consistency is enough. Your growth will announce itself when the time is right. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Step 3. Embrace patience. Silent work is invisible. Results are delayed. This is uncomfortable for most people. They want instant feedback. They want praise. They want attention. And that is why they never endure. You, however, will endure. You will commit. You will persist. You will invest in yourself quietly. You will trust the process. You will let the work speak for itself. That is mastery. That is purpose in action. Consider examples. The writer who revises drafts in solitude. Nobody reads their work yet. Nobody applauds. But over months, chapters become books. The entrepreneur testing ideas quietly, failing silently, iterating constantly, eventually launches a system that changes the market. The athlete who trains every day before sunrise. No crowd, no cheers, just discipline, and eventually wins championships. All of them work in silence. All of them persist. All of them master themselves. That is your model. That is your blueprint. Here is a mental exercise. Identify one area where you crave recognition. Stop seeking it. Work in silence. Measure progress privately. Track improvement personally. Let your results reveal themselves later. Do not seek applause. Do not seek validation. Focus on mastery. Focus on growth. Focus on the compounding power of silent effort. That is your edge. That is your advantage. That is your path to purpose. Repetition reinforces mastery. Say it aloud. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Let it sink in. Let it guide your actions. Let it shape your habits. Let it become your principle. Let it anchor your discipline. Let it define your daily life. That is the formula for unstoppable growth. You have a choice every day. You can chase applause. You can chase recognition. Or you can embrace the grind in silence. You can commit to improvement over attention. You can invest in mastery over approval. You can act consistently, deliberately, and relentlessly. That is purpose in action. That is growth in motion. That is silent power compounding. You now understand the principle. Growth happens away from noise. Mastery is built quietly. Results compound in private. Recognition comes only after discipline, consistency, and persistence. You embraced silent work. You strengthened your focus. You reinforced patience. And now you are ready to leverage your mind fully for lasting purpose. You embraced the grind. You committed to growth in silence. Now, it's time to master your mindset and harness it for unshakable purpose. Chapter 7. Reprogram your mindset for purpose. Your mind shapes your life. Every thought, every belief, every internal conversation dictates your actions. If your mind is chaotic, distracted, or doubtful, your actions will reflect that. If your mind is focused, disciplined, and purpose-driven, your actions will naturally align with your deepest why. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let your mind wander aimlessly, or you can reprogram it for success. You can cultivate it. You can train it. You can grow it. That is power. That is purpose. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. Repeat it. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. If the soil is barren, negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, distractions, the seeds of effort will struggle to grow. If the soil is rich, clear thinking, focus, purpose-driven beliefs, the seeds of action will flourish. That is the principle. That is the law. That is the foundation of living purposefully. Here's how you start. Step 1. Daily affirmations. Every morning, speak directly to your mind. Declare your purpose. Declare your values. Declare your identity. Say aloud, I am disciplined. I act with purpose. I embrace growth. I prioritize what matters. Repetition rewires your brain. Repetition strengthens beliefs. Repetition builds confidence. Your mind begins to align with your goals. Your actions follow. That is the key. Step 2. Journaling. Write down your thoughts, fears, and intentions. Identify patterns of negativity or doubt. Replace them with clarity and focus. Ask yourself questions. What did I do today to live my purpose? What distractions did I overcome? What can I improve tomorrow? Writing creates awareness. Awareness creates accountability. Accountability builds momentum. Momentum produces results. Your mind becomes fertile. Your actions bear fruit. Step 3. Reflective questioning. At night, review your day. Ask, did my actions align with my purpose? Did I honor my non-negotiables? Did I invest in what matters most? Be honest. Be ruthless. Identify where your thinking failed. Identify where your focus weakened. Adjust. Improve. Grow. Reprogramming your mindset is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. It is the soil that produces consistent results. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Consider real-world examples. Athletes visualize success before every game, rewiring their brain for performance under pressure. Entrepreneurs mentally rehearse decisions, preparing their mind for challenges before they occur. Writers affirm their purpose daily, training their mind to overcome self-doubt, and procrastination. Every one of them understands a simple truth. Mental alignment produces consistent action. Mindset drives behavior. Behavior produces results. Here is a practical exercise. Each morning, spend 5 minutes affirming your purpose. Each evening, spend 5 minutes journaling and reflecting. Track your progress. Notice patterns. Celebrate small wins. Correct mistakes. This is how you cultivate fertile soil. This is how you ensure that every action you take is intentional, deliberate, and aligned with your purpose. That is mastery. That is power. That is living purposefully. Now, let's reinforce with repetition. Say it aloud. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. I cultivate my mind daily. I plant seeds of purpose in every action. I grow discipline, focus, and results. Let these words guide your thoughts. Let them direct your actions. Let them anchor your daily life. Every time doubt arises, repeat them. Every time distraction tempts you, repeat them. Every time fear whispers, repeat them. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. That is the foundation. That is the principle. Here's a critical truth. Mindset alone will not do the work. But mindset shapes everything you do. It determines what you tolerate, what you pursue, and what you ignore. It governs your habits. It directs your focus. It fuels your resilience. A purpose-driven mind produces purposeful action automatically. A distracted, chaotic mind produces wasted effort, procrastination, and frustration. You have a choice. That's the key. Choose your mind. Choose your soil. Cultivate it. Feed it. Protect it. Reprogram it for purpose. You can also pair mindset with visualization. Picture your future self, living your purpose fully. Imagine the results of consistent action. Imagine the rewards of delayed gratification. See it clearly. Feel it deeply. Then act in alignment with that vision today. Mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways. It primes your mind for action. It prepares your habits. It produces results. Your mind is the soil. Your actions are the seeds. Repeat it again. Anchor it. Live it. You now understand the principle of mental alignment. You have the tools: affirmations, journaling, reflective questioning, visualization. You can cultivate fertile soil. You can plant powerful seeds. You can grow consistent, disciplined action. That is mastery. That is purpose in motion. That is how you live a life aligned with your deepest why. You mastered your mindset. You strengthened your internal soil. You planted seeds of discipline, focus, and purpose. Now it's time to take every setback and turn it into fuel for unstoppable progress. Chapter 8. Turn setbacks into fuel. Failure is not the end. Failure is not a verdict. Failure is not proof that you are weak. Every failure is an opportunity. Every setback is a lesson disguised as pain. Every obstacle contains information you can use to grow, to improve, to master yourself. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let failure crush you, or you can let it fuel you. You can let it teach you. You can let it propel you forward. That is power. That is resilience. That is mastery in action. Most people fear failure. They avoid it. They pretend it does not exist. They rationalize, blame, or quit. And that is why most people never succeed. They fear the judgment of failure more than they desire progress. They care about being right, looking perfect, or avoiding embarrassment. You must think differently. You must act differently. Every failure is data. Every failure is feedback. Every failure is a stepping stone. Repeat it. Every failure is an opportunity, not a judgment. Consider Thomas Edison. He did not invent the light bulb on the first try, or the 100th try, or the 1000th. He failed thousands of times. And yet, each failure was a lesson. Each experiment taught him something new. He collected information. He iterated. He persisted, and finally, the light bulb worked. He saw failure not as defeat, but as fuel. That is the mindset you must adopt. That is the principle. That is the key. Here's how to turn your setbacks into fuel. Step 1. Reframe the experience. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What information is hidden in this challenge? How can I use this to improve? Stop labeling it as failure. Start labeling it as feedback. Stop internalizing it as judgment. Start externalizing it as data. The moment you reframe your perspective, the setback becomes your advantage. You have a choice. That's the key. Step 2. Extract actionable lessons. Identify what went wrong. Identify what you can control. Identify what you can change. Break it down into specific adjustments. Small, deliberate corrections compound into progress. This is how resilience is built. This is how mastery is developed. This is how silent progress transforms into visible results. Failure is fuel. Analysis is the ignition. Action is the engine. Repeat it daily. Every failure is an opportunity, not a judgment. Step 3. Move forward deliberately. Don't dwell. Don't overanalyze endlessly. Don't let disappointment paralyze you. Take the lessons you learned. Apply them. Act. Adjust. Repeat. This is how setbacks propel momentum. This is how obstacles become stepping stones. This is how discipline overcomes adversity. The world rewards those who persist. The world punishes those who give in to fear. You have a choice. That's the key. Let's reinforce this with examples. An entrepreneur launches a product that fails. Instead of quitting, they analyze customer feedback, tweak their approach, and relaunch successfully. An athlete loses a game. Instead of blaming, they study their performance, train smarter, and win the next match. A student fails an exam. Instead of despairing, they identify gaps in knowledge, adjust their study habits, and excel the next time. Each setback fuels smarter action. Each obstacle informs better decisions. Each failure compounds into mastery. That is the law. That is the principle. That is your blueprint. Here is a mental exercise. The next time you fail, pause. Breathe. Write down 3 lessons learned. Ask, what can I do differently? What can I improve? How can I convert this setback into advantage? Then act immediately. Apply the lessons. Iterate. Improve. That is how Edison built the light bulb. That is how every successful person turns adversity into achievement. That can be you, but only if you adopt this mindset. Repetition anchors the principle. Every failure is an opportunity, not a judgment. Every setback is fuel. Every obstacle contains a lesson. Every mistake compounds into mastery. Say it daily. Say it whenever you feel discouraged. Say it whenever fear whispers. Let guide your actions. Let fortify your mindset. Let it transform your discipline. That is resilience. That is purpose. That is power. Remember, setbacks are inevitable. Obstacles are unavoidable. Challenges will always appear. And yet, your response determines your outcome. You can let them break you, or you can let them fuel you. You can collapse under the weight, or you can leverage it to propel forward. You have a choice. That's the key. Choose fuel. Choose lessons. Choose relentless progress. You reframed failure. You extracted lessons. You learned to act deliberately. You turned setbacks into momentum. That is transformation. That is resilience in motion. That is the foundation of living purposefully. You mastered the art of using failure as fuel. Now, it's time to align your surroundings, your environment, and your influences with your purpose. Chapter 9. Align your environment with your why. Your environment shapes your life more than you realize. Every person you spend time with, every space you occupy, every source of information you consume influences your thoughts, your actions, and your results. Most people ignore this. They surround themselves with distraction, negativity, and mediocrity, and then they wonder why they struggle. You have a choice. That's the key. You can let your environment control you, or you can shape your environment to serve your purpose. You could design your life. You could direct your energy. You can maximize your potential. That is power. That is focus. That is mastery. Here's the truth. Humans are highly influenced by what surrounds them. Energy, mindset, and habits are contagious. If you're surrounded by procrastination, distraction, and doubt, you will adopt it unconsciously. If you're surrounded by discipline, focus, and ambition, you will absorb it. That is why environment is not secondary, it is primary. Aligning your environment with your purpose is not optional, it is essential. Repeat it. Your environment shapes your actions. Your environment shapes your results. Step 1. Evaluate your influences. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you forward or holding you back? Look at the content you consume daily. Does it inspire and educate or distract and drain? Look at your physical spaces. Are they conducive to focus and productivity or cluttered and chaotic? Awareness is the first step. You cannot improve what you do not measure. You have a choice. That's the key. Step 2. Remove what doesn't serve your purpose. Toxic people, unproductive habits, distracting spaces, harmful content. They all need to go. Ruthlessly, without hesitation. You cannot compromise on this. Every distraction you eliminate frees mental space, energy, and focus for what truly matters. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. That is the law of alignment. That is the principle. That is your advantage. Step 3. Create what reinforces your purpose. Surround yourself with people who lift you, challenge you, and inspire you. Fill your environment with resources, tools, and spaces that make action easy. Organize your workspace to minimize friction. Curate your digital feed to maximize growth. Every adjustment compounds. Every improvement strengthens your habits. Every alignment amplifies your results. That is how environment becomes your ally. That is how you leverage surroundings to accelerate mastery. Consider examples. Entrepreneurs remove distractions, block social media, and design their office for focus, allowing them to execute efficiently. Athletes control their training environment, ensuring they can practice consistently and improve without disruption. Writers and creatives design spaces for flow, free from interruptions, cultivating the conditions for productivity. Every one of them understands this truth. Your environment is either your servant or your master. Choose wisely. Here is a practical exercise. Identify one area of your environment that is sabotaging your purpose. It could be a relationship, a habit, a device, or space. Eliminate or restructure it immediately. Replace it with something that reinforces your why. Track the change. Observe how your focus, energy, and results improve. This is the compounding effect of purposeful alignment. You have a choice. That's the key. Repetition reinforces mastery. Say it aloud. My environment serves my purpose. I eliminate distraction. I create conditions for focus. I align my space, my people, and my content with my highest goals. Repeat it daily. Repeat it before decisions. Repeat it whenever you feel energy leaking away. Let your environment reinforce your discipline. Let it accelerate your growth. Let it multiply your results. That is power. That is freedom. That is living purposefully. You now understand the principle. Environment drives behavior. Environment drives results. Your surroundings can either pull you toward distraction or push you toward mastery. By aligning your environment with your why, you create a foundation for unstoppable focus, consistent action, and silent progress. That is transformation. That is leverage. That is your advantage. You mastered your environment. You eliminated what drains you. You cultivated what empowers you. You strengthened the conditions for growth and focus. Now it's time to combine all the lessons you've learned into the ultimate principle of disciplined, purpose-driven living. Chapter 10. Live purposefully every day. Purpose is not a destination. It is not something you arrive at. It is not a trophy to display or a milestone to reach. Purpose is a daily practice. It is a series of deliberate actions repeated consistently. It is the decisions you make every morning, every hour, every moment. You have a choice. That's the key. You can drift through life. You can react to circumstances. Or you can live with intention. You can act deliberately. You can focus relentlessly. You can align every action with your deepest why. That is power. That is mastery. That is purpose in action. Start with your mornings. How you begin sets the tone for your entire day. Don't scroll your phone. Don't react to notifications. Don't chase distraction. Begin with routines that ground you in purpose. Journaling, exercise, meditation, visualization. Choose habits that prepare your mind and body for deliberate action. These small rituals compound silently. They build momentum. They strengthen focus. They reinforce your non-negotiables. Silent work today creates visible results tomorrow. Repeat it. Anchor it. Live it. Next, deliberate actions. Purpose is built through what you do, not what you plan or wish. Every task, every choice, every interaction should align with your why. Avoid busy work. Avoid distractions. Avoid the trap of validation. Ask yourself constantly, is this action moving me closer to my purpose, or is it draining my energy? Choose action. Choose focus. Choose progress. That is how momentum compounds. That is how discipline transforms into mastery. That is how silent progress becomes visible results. Then, reflect each night. Review your day. What worked? What didn't? Where did you honor your non-negotiables? Where did you stray? Reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates accountability. Accountability builds growth. Ask yourself one simple, decisive question. Did I live my why today? If the answer is no, identify adjustments for tomorrow. If the answer is yes, acknowledge the progress silently and prepare to compound it tomorrow. This simple practice separates the aimless from the relentless, the distracted from the disciplined. Consider real-world examples. Athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators who live purposefully each day are not extraordinary because of luck or talent. They are extraordinary because of daily discipline. Every morning they train, focus, and prepare. Every hour they act deliberately. Every night they reflect and adjust. Results accumulate silently, steadily, relentlessly. This is the life of purpose. This is the life you can create. Repetition anchors the principle. Say it aloud. Purpose is daily practice. I live my why today. I act deliberately. I reflect honestly. I focus relentlessly. I align every action with my purpose. Repeat it every morning. Repeat it throughout the day. Repeat it before sleep. Let it guide your decisions. Let it shape your habits. Let it define your life. That is mastery. That is freedom. That is living purposefully. Here's the ultimate challenge. End every day by asking yourself, did I live my why today? Not tomorrow. Not yesterday. Today. Every day. If the answer is yes, reinforce the habit and compound progress tomorrow. If the answer is no, course correct immediately. Purpose is built in repetition. Purpose is built in discipline. Purpose is built in deliberate action. That is your path. That is your blueprint. That is your life. And one more thing. If you want more strategies, more mental tools, more guidance to live purposefully, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Every week we deliver insights that help you act, focus, and grow silently, yet powerfully. Don't just listen, commit. Take action. Live your purpose relentlessly. You now understand the foundation of purposeful living. Morning routines, deliberate action, nightly reflection, non-negotiables, mindset mastery, silent work, delayed gratification, resilience, and environment alignment. Implement these consistently. Commit daily. Reflect nightly. Adjust constantly, and your life will change. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today, every day, you have the tools. You have the strategy. You have the choice. Live with intention. Live with discipline. Live your purpose. And never, ever stop.